up nice and early this morning, and we're standing at a boat ramp currently right now. You're probably wondering why we're up so early. We're in jumpers, it's cold, we're at a boat ramp. What's going on? We're actually off today for epic experience. It's actually, what's it called? Coffin Bay Experience.
No, Experience Coffin Bay.
Experience Coffin Bay.
Yeah, that's the company name. And they do a tour where you can actually go out and see all their oyster farms. This is a 3-hour tour, so they take you right out 16 kilometres into the bay. They show you Brother Island, where you hopefully see some sea lions as well. You see Coffin Bay National Park from the water, as well as do all the farm. And at the farm is the best bit.
Oysters!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so keen. We've been told so much about Coffin Bay oysters and how good they are, and they're just some of the best oysters you can get in Australia. So to be in Coffin Bay, do an experience where you can go and like pluck them from the water, crack them open and actually eat them, that is just crazy. That's so cool. So to be able to be down here and have this experience, I'm so excited to show you guys and take you along for the ride and see what we get up to, because I'm sure it's going to be a bloody hell of an experience.
One thing I'll tell you about really quickly too, I warned Jada of it in the car. I said, today you have to try an oyster.
Yeah, there's a challenge today because she doesn't like naturals. I'm pretty good with it. Jack's just Jack.
I wish I packed like some bacon and Worcestershire. I would have just like put it on top and made my own.
They'll probably even have something on the boat, who knows?
Yeah,
just to help them along. But yeah, we're going to have a bit of a challenge between these two to see who can finish the oyster. So it's going to be quite funny, I reckon.
I reckon I'll be able to do it.
I'll make sure
I reckon Jada will be like...
I'll make sure they find the biggest oyster possible, and we'll get them to have a go at it.
Not fair. All right. So pretty much the only things we've had to bring, we've got 2 towels. We would have brought more, but because it's cold weather, we'll be wearing what's called waders when you go into the water. So we've got a couple of towels just to dry our hands and that afterwards. Socks to wear in the waders. Nappies for Jack. Snack foods, iPads and toys, and that's really it. Oh, sun cream. So yeah, it's easy. Now we're going to fill it up with camera gear.
We've got so much camera gear. Life of a YouTuber. Most people would take just that.
Yeah.
And then we're taking all
GoPro
this on top.
bag, drone bag up here, camera bag up here.
I've got a few things charging.
Extra charging going on.
Make sure you've got enough batteries. You want to capture everything possible, but yeah, literally this is YouTube life right here. Just this pocket of stuff.
Double everything.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
He wants to go walking.
Well, that was perfect timing. We're just walking down to the jetty and the big boats just turn up. This is the big boat we're going on. It's pretty bloody fancy. That's the big boat, Jack. Are you excited?
Can I go on the ramp and watch it go in?
Jack, do you see the big boat?
Yes.
Yeah, are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's off put by McQueen. So we're here and we're going out and we're doing this big trip. Come back again.
What about that one?
That's a different one. That's the short and sweet, but we're just doing this.
What are we doing? Oh.
Something about the boat because Jack. Yeah.
Something about a blue boat and Jack, yeah. I think he's excited.
Out of the way. I'm just going to hold them while you go over the hole. Look. Ready?
A bit about the tour today. We're going to take you out into the heart of Coffin Bay. It's about 20 k's out there. It's going to take us about 25-30 minutes to get there. When we get there, we're going to tie up to our oyster lease, and everyone's going to get the opportunity to pop some waders on and go for a walk around the lease to get what it feels like to be a bit of an oyster farmer, take some photos and just have a bit of a snoop. That'll be cool. When we get back on board, everyone that wants oysters today is going to get a dozen oysters shucked by Daisy here, and while she's doing that, I'm going to give you guys a history lesson on Coffin Bay, how we went from oyster fisherman to farmer, which is what we are today, everything in between on how we go about the whole process and what makes Coffin Bay so spectacular for growing oysters. So sit back and relax, guys, and we'll get you out to the lease. to take your shoes off, leave your socks on if you want, that's no worries. When you go to put them on, the easiest way to do it, sit down on your seat, pull the boot part up over your feet first and then stand up, straps over your shoulders and clip them in. You have got a little pocket in the front for your mobile phone, so you can chuck that in there as well. And when we disembark, we'll go out this side here. I'll put a ladder down for you guys. Just remember with the ladder, don't go down face first because that's exactly how you're going to end up. Turn around, go down backwards using the grab handles as you go. Most of all, have fun.
Well, this is going to be a sexy look.
Oh.
Eh?
You're gonna be like a gardener.
You could be a butcher, you could be a gardener, you could be out of a horror movie.
Hang on.
You could be Sam.
Oh, hang on. Have a look.
Oh, the sun's coming out. Perfect.
No, I'm taking my jumper off.
What's that? Me?
I'm getting there. Look at the size of it. Harry High Pants.
Yeah. What's that?
So I was thinking if I could, I'd put Jack here.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to sit in my shirt? You want to sit with me in here? Hang on, come here then. Put your legs in. Put your legs in. Put your legs in. Legs in.
They're both in. Oh. Knees not quite.
Put your legs around me. Legs around. I can't reach, babe. Can you pass it to me? I can't get it over. Thank you. Hang on. Lift your arm up. Your arm out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, how good's this?
Haven't had you on the front for a long time.
Alright. Off we go.
I feel like I'm floating.
Yeah, you probably are a bit.
You get and I'll get the sun.
I feel
Do you want to, Jada, can you hold this? Don't put your hands in the water for a minute. Alright, you ready? Ready?
It's cold. How weird does that feel?
Look at us. Look. Do you want to go and see the oysters? Yeah, come on then.
Whoa! I nearly fell over.
Wow. You look like an Oompa Loompa.
What's an Oompa Loompa?
Oh, from wow, we're going through the water. Someone touched the screen.
I just saw one that was open.
Okay, ready? Ready? We're gonna go see the oysters. You wanna see the oysters? Look.
That one's open. That one's open.
What's open?
That one.
Is it? Why?
There's nothing in it though.
Oh, well he's maybe had better days then. So we've gone down a bit further so Jack can see the oysters. Yeah, look, look, look.
Ow.
What's this?
Ow.
Can you say oyster?
Oyster?
Yeah. Can you say oyster? Do you want to go back up?
Yes.
Okay, come on then. Hang on. Is that better?
How come he's so big?
Because he's like 7 years old.
Oh.
So you put that one in your hand as well, and now you can see the difference. Look at that.
Wow. Are they like a different type?
Same oyster, Pacific oyster. So yeah, same oyster.
I'm not even really, I'm just floating right now. I'm not even really just putting it in the ground.
That's funny. How cool's that?
It's really big.
It is really big.
Is it heavy?
No, it's not that heavy.
Oh no. So do you still sell them at that size?
We were selling them to international travellers, but
Oh, yeah.
Pre-COVID, like the last known price, they marketed them in the Port Lincoln Hotel and Sarah's restaurant.
Yeah.
And the guy who had quite a few of them, but he eventually ran out. Last known price was $150 per oyster.
Wow.
Any way you wanted it.
Getting a muscle.
Wait, you're getting the muscles off.
Just one. Maybe two.
About the same, but they don't get much bigger than.
Do they need to do this and get rid of them?
Bigger than I'm thinking about that long.
They're pretty big, aren't they?
Trying to get that one, but there's so many around it.
We get lots of fish around here. Well, they're pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Did you see any starfish? Sometimes we get starfish around here as well, like red ones.
Like
Yeah. So you know what that starfish actually does? Could you believe, or would you believe, that it can kill an oyster?
Huh.
And you know what it does? It'll climb up the post.
Yeah, it was on the post.
Yeah, let's getting ready for the high tide. So it'll climb up the post, get to the line, climb along the line, go find a clip, go down the clip, and get one leg in the bag, and then the rest of its body can follow. And can I just borrow your muscle for a minute? Thank you. And what it'll do, it'll get in the bag and it will wrap its legs around the oyster like so and hold it up to its mouth. And eventually that oyster has to open to feed. That's how they feed. They open up to pump the water to get the food and oxygen they need. And as soon as it does that, the starfish ejects its stomach straight into the oyster. The oyster closes over it. He dissolves the oyster, consumes it. Oyster can't close because it's gone. And he sucks his stomach back in and goes to the next one.
How can he open it?
Now he just waits for that to open, because when they go underwater they'll be open and feeding.
They have to breathe eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. So crazy. Once we found out that was the thing, we're like, really? So I reckon if you've got your photos and stuff, guys, if you want to start making your way back on board, we can get a drink into the hands of those that want one, and I can give you my talk and teach you how it's all done. And when it comes to Coffin Bay, quite often there's a bit of confusion, because if you'd looked at a chart or a map, you might have noticed that where the township is actually located, that bay is called Kelledy Bay, and people are like, what's going on there? Next bay, as you're heading out the channel, this one here, that's called Mount Dutton Bay, and the one where we're sitting right now, that's called Port Douglas. Coffin Bay is actually out here, that's off the chart at the moment. However, when I refer to oyster fishing and farming in Coffin Bay, I don't mean that bay that's out here, I mean these three bays that we've got here. The way the Angazi oyster reproduces compared to the Pacific, the one you're going to try today, is very different. With a Pacific oyster, you have a male and a female, they spawn into the water column, an egg becomes fertilised, and that egg hatches out as a tiny little larvae, and we're talking microscopic. That larvae swims around in the water column for around 8 to 10 days, just maturing a bit. Eventually it'll find a post or a rock or a stick, something suitable, glue itself to that, and transform into a baby oyster, or what we call a spat. The Angazi oyster, completely different. With the Angazi oyster, you have a male and a female. The male will spawn into the water column, and the female will become pregnant. She'll actually go through a pregnancy and a birthing, and depending on the size of the oyster, anywhere from 2 to 50 million oysters at a time. Back in the day, these things were as big as dinner plates. This one is very small in comparison to those. We still estimate this one was probably still around 9 or 10 years old before it died. But anyway, what she'll do when she's ready, she'll open up and she'll pump all of those oysters onto the seafloor around her. And what those oysters needed, those baby ones straight away, was all the shell of their uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever to stick to ensure their survival. And that was a problem. All the shell was being ripped out of the bay, it was going to Adelaide, and it wasn't coming back. They weren't wasting that shell in Adelaide by any means, they were actually burning it and turning it into lime and using it in their cement work. So the first historical buildings in Adelaide were actually built with the help of oyster cement from Coffin Bay. When the fishermen realised that was a thing, instead of fishing for oysters, they loaded up their boats with sticks, bricks, bottles, broken glass, crockery, you name it, anything that they thought an oyster might stick to, came out into these waterways week after week, just dumping that stuff on the bottom, trying to get some infrastructure back in so the oysters could make a comeback, but it was too little, too late, and like I said, by 1945, it was pretty much all over. Now that I've shared that with you, the photograph that's on the bottom of the board here might actually make a bit of sense, because you can see that big pile of brush I've got cut on the shoreline, boats coming in, loading it up, taking it out into the bay, dumping it on the bottom. They knew the oysters were sticking to their bottles and all their other trash they were throwing over the side. They thought they had the answer, but it was all in vain. It just did not work. So how do we oyster farm in Coffin Bay? You might have noticed in the water there that the line that we hang our bags on has been clipped in. And you might have noticed there's not just one clip on those posts, there's lots of them. Generally there's around 7 or 8. And you might also notice, looking around the lease, that we've got oysters at all different heights. We've got some completely underwater, we've got some high and dry, some just touching it. Depending on what we want to do to the oyster is where we situate it in that water column. But basically what we do is, when we've got our little fellas, we'll start them off on the bottom clip. Now when the tide goes out, they're going to spend about an hour a day out in the water. We start to get them used to that process straight away. When they get up a little bit bigger, we'll put them on the middle clip. Now when the tide goes out, they're going to spend 3 to 4 hours a day out of the water, starting to work them a little bit harder. When they get up to that saleable size, we'll chuck them on the top clip. One of 3 regions on the planet here in Coffin Bay that have dodge tides. That means the tide can go out in the morning and not come back in for 12 hours. So what are we putting them through that torture for? The opening and closing mechanism of an oyster is controlled by a muscle called the adductor muscle. So when they're underwater, they'll relax that muscle, pop open slightly, and they'll begin to pump the water to get the food and oxygen that they need. When the tide starts to go out, they can sense that, they'll pull that muscle back, pulling that shell down tight on top and trapping water inside, and that'll be enough to keep that oyster alive for a predetermined amount of time. So basically what we're doing with our young ones, we send them on a play date. When they're teenagers, they're going on a bike hike. When they're adults, they're off to the gym every single day, beat test 9.5, spin bikes 80%, sit up, push up, work, getting that muscle so strong that it can lock down and stay locked down for that 10 days in a refrigerated environment. You're going to find them a little bit saltier than you will in a restaurant, because what they'll do in a restaurant is they'll pop off that top shell for you and they will rinse your oyster under chlorinated tap water. Yummy, yummy, yummy. They do it so you don't get any shell. We want you to have the flavour of the sea.
Pretty good.
Yeah. You've got a lot of oysters here.
I've got a lot of oysters.
Thank you. Alright, do you want to try one?
No.
We're going to do it together, okay? We'll get a small one.
I don't want to try one.
Look, this is a little one. So put your thumb on it and pour out the salt water so it's not too salty. Put your thumb on it.
Is it still alive?
No.
No.
Pour the salt water out into this so it's not too salty. Alright, we're going to put some lemon on for you. Hang on.
Yeah.
Ready? Okay, wait, I'll do one too. I'm going to get rid of the salt too, I think. That's the whole oyster.
Tabasco in it?
Yeah.
What if I don't like it?
I'll
You
make you
just spit it back into the
Tabasco.
shell.
Pardon?
You just spit it back into the shell.
Yeah.
Right.
Ready?
Can I have my little
Hang on.
piece?
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. The Tabasco is nice.
Any sort of sauce.
Here we go. You got to put it in your mouth and give it a couple of chews.
No, no, no.
Ready?
No.
Okay.
No.
If you do it.
Twilight sky, 6:25. 더 선명하게 드리워진 line. When the sun goes down and boundaries are blurred out, come on, cross 손을 넘어 try it, yeah. 너와 나의 사이로
Well, that was
Wow,
cool.
wow. That's all I've got to say because that was absolutely insane. That was
a really
such a cool.
outing.
It had everything. It was
Yeah.
jam packed full of stuff. You weren't just sitting around waiting for something to happen. It was just go, 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 which was great for the kids because it kept them occupied, which again, I'm going to say they have been absolutely amazing.
Where there was a time probably 6 months ago we would not have done this for Jack.
We
just
literally-
wouldn't have done it.
Literally would have said no.
Or you would
Straight
have
away.
gone with Jada, or I would have gone
Or-
with Jada,
yeah.
and one of us stays back, like we did at Signet Bay.
Yeah.
You just can't do both.
You can't do it, yeah.
Yeah.
But come such a long way with the kids. They actually really enjoyed it. Jack really enjoyed it. We've seen sea lions. We ate some of the freshest, amazing oysters you could probably ever put in your mouth.
I even actually like them.
Yeah,
like,
she was
I'm not a
smashing it.
natural person, and I think I had like 8 or something. So
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. It's
they
gonna
were
happen.
good. But
Yeah.
the problem is now I'm going to eat oysters from somewhere else and be super disappointed.
It won't get any better than Coffin Bay oysters. Turn
Yeah.
up. But yeah, incredible. Definitely going to have to go and check us out. If you're in Coffin Bay, you have to come down.
Yep.
Give it a look because I tell you what, they have a 1 hour. Is it a 1 hour tour?
So it's called the Short and Sweet Tour, and that takes you to one of the little oyster farms just here in the bay. It doesn't go very far at all, but the other one is a 3-hour tour, and it takes you 16 kilometres into the bay to the oyster farm where we were. But they also go along the edge of all the Coffin Bay National Park, and they also take you to Brother Island, which has the seals. So
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really cool too.
I
So
didn't
literally-
expect to see any.
No.
I didn't think it was going
I
to
was
happen.
like, well, we'll turn up. We might see one cruising through the water, but there was actually probably a good
Yeah.
half a dozen.
I got some really
cruising
cool
around.
shots. So, yeah.
I can't wait to show you guys this one because it is going to be cool.
But yeah, so again, it's Experience Coffin Bay. They also have a number of other tours as well that they do around the area. They have private tours. They have
Yeah.
a 9-hour full day tour for the whole Coffin Bay area,
Yeah.
and their prices are reasonable as well for what they're providing. So definitely
It
go
is
check
good.
them out. They're Australian owned. They used to be, they started in 1996 and they were just oyster farming. And then when they figured out that tourists wanted to see how the oyster farming worked, that's how this all came about.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check it out.
So that's us done for the day. We're going to head back. Just enjoy the rest of the afternoon now
Yep.
because
We're moving tomorrow.
yeah, we're off again on another
Yeah.
location. So stay tuned for that one. And yeah, today's been bloody awesome. Got to get down here, check it out. We're doing a really cool experience today. It's the Coffin Bay Experience, which is basically jumping on a boat,
Experience Coffin Bay.
jumping into hopefully some waders. So if you don't know what waders are,
Waiters.
and we're going to the freshest place you can get them, and it's straight out of the ocean at Coffin Bay. So pretty excited about that. We're pretty pumped. We're just waiting for the boat to turn up. It's going to turn up at 10 o'clock.
Or, yeah.
10 o'clock, yeah. So we only got probably 45 minutes to wait. We got down a little bit early just to make sure we got all our